Folks, thanks for joining us today. My name is John Dubas with Premier Marketing, and we'll be spending the next hour or so discussing a topic that's front of mind for many people right now, and that's prepping and planning for this coming AEP. It's a program that will continue throughout the year, the efforts that are put forward in AEP, so we want to make certain that we approach this with some seriousness. But today's topic will have a little bit of lightheartedness to it as well. You'll see shortly, but we're taking it really seriously and want to make certain that we're able to deliver on some hint and tips in order to help make this your most successful annual election period ever. Today's presentation is being recorded, and it, with material that we reference throughout the course of the presentation, will be sent by email to all who have RSVP'd to today's presentation. And we thank you for those RSVPs and the investment of your time. You'll notice in the GoToWebinar software that there is a section for questions. If you would, place your questions in that, and we will address them either through the course of the presentation itself or as we visit at the end of the presentation as well. A little bit of background information about our organization. For those of you that may not be as familiar with Premier Marketing, we are a national marketing organization founded in 1968. We're part of the Integrity Marketing Platform with offices across the country. We act as an insurance wholesaler, delivering insurance services through independent insurance agents such as yourself. And we do so at contracts at the highest possible commission levels, with recruiting contracts available to those who qualify. As I mentioned, we were founded in 1968, so we're pretty proud of that accomplishment. We recently celebrated our 50th anniversary. We do so, these programs, we offer a full insurance portfolio to help you be successful in all aspects of the insurance world. And we realize that some folks specialize in one area or another, but there are some things that can make you more successful by looking at a portfolio of products. And that includes Medicare programs, such as Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement plans and the standalone Part D prescription drug programs, but also through life insurance and annuity products, final expense life insurance and pre-need plans, long and short-term care programs, disability income, and ancillary products such as dental, vision, and hearing, critical illness cancer programs, and hospital indemnity programs. When you look at the Medicare Advantage portfolio that we offer, it has the national carriers available to you, as well as some of the strong regional players that make you different in your market. And it's important to note that many of these carriers have released their 2021 benefits, and those are available to agents behind the wall, so to speak, on our website as well. And that also brings up the fact that there's certification available at this particular point in time as well, because Medicare Advantage plans and the PDP portfolio require annual certifications. That same philosophy that we offer with the national carriers on the Medicare Advantage side also carries through to the prescription drug programs, where those national carriers are available to you through our organization. Our Medicare Supplement portfolio is very large and robust and includes different tools that can help you be successful in that space as well. And while Medicare supplements are not subject to lock-in or lock-out or whatever you want to call it, the different enrollment periods don't necessarily affect these the same way, but we see a market increase in the writing of Medicare supplements during the annual election period, and we want to help make certain that you have the competitive carriers available to you for your use. When you look at the ancillary products, in each of the categories, we have the national leaders there for you as well. And these are natural adjuncts to either recruit or add to and complete the coverage of the base medical coverage, be it a Medicare Advantage or a Medicare Supplement program. When you look at the Medicare market overall, these numbers aren't going to surprise many of you, but some of the ramifications might. When you come on a presentation like today's, you hear about the silver tsunami, the aging of the baby boomers, 10,000 plus people a month turning 65, one every 10 seconds or so. But if you look at the Medicare market based just on age, you're not getting an absolute true picture, because there are folks that turn 65 and don't access their Medicare benefits immediately. We're seeing more people work past the age of 65 and may have access to group coverage, or for whatever other reason don't immediately access Medicare benefits. It's held at 10 to 12% on a regular basis. That's increased those percentages as well, according to some of the information we get from Depth Research. That subtraction from the total number is more than offset by this category, and that's the medically disabled, the folks that are under the age of 65 that are accessing their benefits because of that disability. It's about 1/6 of the Medicare population. So you're looking at a number of 59 to 60 million people that are on the Medicare programs that are natural prospects for obviously the base medical coverages, but also many of the additional ancillary programs that they need to suit their needs. And so we're looking at a portfolio of products that addresses this diverse population. Because 2/3 of them are fighting chronic illnesses, 3+, we look at different alternatives that they have for base medical coverage. And since many of them are challenged and on a fixed income when it comes to the dollars that are in their household, we also want to make available to them programs that can help them budget for the inevitable and make certain that they're able to follow through on the treatment of the challenges that their bodies present them as they age. Medicare people have choices. And so we want to be prepared as we go into AEP that we recognize what those choices are and what we have to address the needs in each of the categories. An old sales manager of mine once told me a decision to make a decision is a decision. And that's true. They don't even have to take Part B if they don't want to. It's an optional coverage. The vast majority of people do, but some of them will stop there. Some of them will add the Part D coverages for the medications, and then some will also add a Medigap program, a standardized, modernized Medicare Supplement program to cover the health insurance shortfall that they have with traditional Medicare. A good portion of the folks also will then perhaps opt for Medicare Part C, the Medicare Advantage programs, to bundle those coverages. In each of those categories, with each of those four choices, we have programs as agents that can help them cover that financial shortfall and protect their assets and their well-being moving forward. As people go into Medicare, we see a pretty even split between Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement programs. Those percentages are actually growing on the Medicare Advantage side, and we're seeing growth across the board with the healthcare programs. You'll also note on this that there's a percentage of folks that stay on original Medicare only. Does that mean that's all they have? Not necessarily. It may be, but they may have VA coverage or Medicare and Medicaid or retirement coverage that don't allow them to be part of the other programs. So this is an opportunity for us, once again, to address the needs in each of these categories by having a portfolio of products and having planned for the chances of a person being in one category or another. So when we look at prepping for the annual election period, we're looking at doing a either new marketing activity or intensifying some of the things that we're already doing. In today's new normal, there may be variations of how we go about processing different things, but that is part of an overall plan, and we'll address that in just a minute as well. We all recognize that AEP runs from October 15th through December 7th. The government gives us the grand illusion of a marketing period in the 1st of October where we can talk about the programs, but we can't sell them till the 15th. So that makes for an interesting period at that point in time. The first step we have to do, well, establish a goal, make it a SMART goal, and then determine how we're going to go about accomplishing that. It's been shown that writing down your goals makes a big difference as to whether or not you achieve them or not. Many folks don't want to share their goals with other people. Some folks will actually take that and within a group of peers or other support structure will actually share them with those individuals to help keep ourselves accountable for what we want to do. So some of the things we want to take into account: what do you want to achieve by working through AEP and in the business overall? Many of us have both intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. I like using those words, evidently. So we like to get paid, and we want the internal satisfaction of helping people. That's a great motivator day to day in a business where you will hear a periodic no. It's also important to note that depending upon where we are in our maturation process within the industry, that we set a timetable of goals as well. Where do you want to be in 6 months, within a year, 3 years, or 5 years? We're not asking what kind of tree you want to be, but we want to make certain that we track our progress and set goals and be realistic in those expectations. If you set an unachievable goal, well, that's setting yourself up for disappointment, but realistic approaches really make for long-term success because you can track where you are from where you start and where you go. There are other considerations to take into account. We all have bills to pay, so what's the minimum we need to make? And then what do we expect to make based on our activity? And then, of course, the stretch goal, so to speak, of how much would you like to make? So many people will actually chart out 3 different levels of goaling and then work to see how they can achieve those goals. And we'll talk about that in a second. So once we've made those goals, then it's a plan of how we are going to achieve them. In many circumstances, it's important to note, like the lion in the upper right says, everyone wants to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do. It's then setting those goals, addressing and creating a plan and sticking to it, and being willing to do some of the things that you need to do in order to achieve those goals. Because it's like the Cheshire Cat said to Alice when she fell in the hole, doesn't matter which way you go if you don't have a destination in mind, because you can reach wherever you want to go. I decided to go across the street, or I want to go down here. It's important to make clarifications and set those in play, because the goal is to get in front of buyers, not only during AEP, but to build upon that success and those programs to work year over year throughout the year on a no sweat basis, so to speak. So one of the first things we do is we set our area of propinquity. Let's do that. What area do you want to market? Because of the current situation we have with a lot of business being done now remotely, it can expand that geographic area or do away with a subject matter expert in a particular target market altogether. And what area are you looking to concentrate on within the market itself? Because it's AEP, the natural assumption on a lot of it is the basic Medicare health programs, be they Medicare Advantage or Medicare Supplement programs and PDP programs. It is, however, important to note that that base objective can then be augmented, supplemented by some of the other programs that we can offer as insurance agents. And we do have to follow the regulations. So if we're marketing Medicare Advantage programs or we're marketing Medicare Supplement programs, there's a distinction as to what you can do in order to get in front of people. Obviously, you've had it beaten through your head if you've been in this industry more than 2 years. You can't cold call for Medicare Advantage and PDP programs, but you can for Medicare Supplement and other ancillary or other insurance programs. So we have to follow the guidelines and make certain we take that into account when we are creating our program. Because think about it, you don't want to sit around waiting for the phone to ring. We're out there looking to get kissed, as Pepe Le Pew said, and in order to do so, we've got to ask. So let's look at some of those numbers that we talked about: 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, AEP period itself. Work it backwards based on an average number of commissions for a particular program to get to your dollar goal. That then you can back off of and see where you need to be throughout the course of the time period, be it during AEP or through an extended period of time, in order to reach those monetary goals. Then we have to discover, where can we come up with enough people to talk to in order to sell that many people. Back in the 80s, when I was with Prudential and selling life insurance, it was the old 1031. I need this many prospects for this many appointments for this many sales. And we can tweak that because the numbers are a little different in the Medicare world, but that gives us a formula to follow and gives us an opportunity to realize this is what it's going to take for me to achieve my goals. So when you look at those programs and you develop the strategies in order to create the prospects that are necessary to achieve those goals, look at them not only during the AEP period, but how that can be a basis for your marketing all year long and throughout those different goal periods that we discussed. When you look at some of the different things that can help get you there, the monies that you spend, the monies that you budget, how are you handling the return on that investment? And that's important because in many circumstances, you don't want to spend $200 to make $210. But there are different things that we can do to really drive down acquisition costs and then make certain that we are still achieving our goal within a reasonable time period and within a reasonable expectation of those goals. So you can actually set some things up based on the portfolio of products that you offer and, more importantly, that you sell. I have a life and health license. I don't think I sold a disability policy since 1992. And that was only one. I was a life agent at that time, and we didn't do a lot of disability. I didn't anyway. But if you look at your book of business and you search back to how are your prospects and your book or your clients laid out based on what product that they offered, that gives you not only an idea as to how the spread will affect your income, but it also gives you an idea of what you're proficient at and what you have pursued heavily in the past. That doesn't mean you have to continue that same sort of strategy, but it will give you an opportunity then to go back to the folks you've already sold and offer some of the other products that are available throughout the year as well. During the annual election period, it is critically important that we go back and review the benefits of the folks that are already our clients to make certain that the circumstances haven't changed and that we can maintain that product because, in essence, that's our salary. Those renewals are what feed the monkey, so to speak, and we want to make certain that we can go about not only growing our book, but maintaining it. And if we have systems in place that we'll discuss in a little bit to make that easier, that is all the better for us. So this is the same sort of thing that we kind of did with the income piece. We're working it backwards. This gives us an idea then if we have a target income and we see the spread of products that we're selling on a consistent basis, and these may change from time period to time period because a lot of folks during AEP focus just on the base medical coverages, maybe an ancillary thrown in there before or thereafter, and then go back and market throughout the year. So that's a point that we want to make is the activity that you are doing during AEP not only drives that period, but then marketing expectations and the ability to sell other products throughout the year. It's going to fuel the machine throughout the year and help you be more successful and not worried about, well, gee, what am I going to do for leads in January and February? There's always things we can do, and these are some of the ways to approach that. There's some other things that come into play as well, and that's our own skill set. Are you actively training yourself, improving yourself, seeking that type of help from your contracting hierarchy, from the insurance carriers, from the government itself? And we have different ways to help make that a part of your overall marketing plan moving forward. Because if you got leads a big point of how they are going to affect your income, obviously, it depends on if you sell them. First part of that, are you able to contact them? Second part, if you set an appointment, how's your closing ratio? That will affect some of your numbers and how you plan as well. So if you've gone on 15 appointments in a week and you have closed 10 of them, well, you're at 75% close. That's really good in some aspects of the insurance industry. In the Medicare arena, it's easier to nudge up some of those numbers based on the programs that you offer and your ability to explain and close an individual as well. So that allows you to affect some of those numbers that you're going to plug into your formula to help you plan to where you want to go. It also depends upon, to a degree, where some folks, well, we're kind of part-time with this, or I only concentrate on Medicare during open enrollment. That gives you then another variable that you have to consider as to how much you're going to invest in this section of the industry and the portfolio that you offer. So take into account some of those factors as well. Are you a good closer? You getting better? We'll see some folks that close really hard at the first part of AEP, kind of not so much in the middle, and then close hard at the end. A lot of that is psychological. But then we see a lot of folks that as they become more and more accustomed to the product that they're offering and the benefits they're in and know the ins and outs of those programs, it helps them be a more effective closer as well. So outside of the planning and the goaling and all the other things that you want to do with preparation, it's then how do you get in front of folks? So working up a schedule and determining what parts of the business take up your time can make a big difference as well. If you are hot into a selling season, it's difficult to train and develop as you go. Not really as much, because you're going to do the same things over and over, so you're going to get better with it. But you got to prospect and set appointments and do so logically, so you can reduce the travel time, reduce that windshield time. And in times like this, where some folks may be less enthusiastic about visiting us face-to-face, means of electronically contacting and enrolling these individuals will be paramount to success, particularly in this AEP moving forward. So a whole lot of strange inactivity out there, and there are a number of folks that aren't going to want to visit with you face-to-face. That can be a good thing as well, because it can cut down on some of the travel time and free up your most valuable asset, your time, to move together. So beyond that, we want to make certain that we have tools that can help us accomplish those goals as well. Not only perhaps a CRM or a tickler system to help keep a prospect from falling to the wayside, but also to track your activity and make certain that you are working not only effectively, but efficiently as well. And so laying out a calendar, electronic, or some of us that still use paper, tracking it out and setting up times for your activity. Depending upon what you're doing in the community, you're going to plug that in and then slot out some of the appointment times that you have. Recognize the length of a presentation that you're going to deliver, and that will affect some of these different appointments. If you're able to do it face-to-face or virtually, that will affect the time schedule as well. Because if you're doing them virtually, well, you don't have to drive from one to another, obviously. So you're cutting that windshield time out. You got more hours to actually sell versus travel. Some of the things as well, when you put all these things down together, it's holding ourselves accountable. Are you in a hierarchy where you have a manager or a boss that you answer to? Are you in an agency where you have a partner that you visit with and that you share goals and hold each other accountable? Are you your own boss? Do you have everything set up now ahead of time in order to make it work? And if there's no one else there to hold the hold yourself accountable. I was looking for a quaint analogy and decided to skip it. You got to hold yourself accountable as well, and that requires some discipline. Some of the things you want to do, obviously, ahead of time is be prepared. There are a ton of activities going on now from a ton of different carriers offering their trainings. We'll talk about how to decide who to play with and who not in many circumstances. But if you're serious about the programs that you offer and you've done an overview with some of the different hierarchies that you contract with or with carriers themselves, it's important to note that carriers in markets can deliver the fine points on helping drive up one of those variables we mentioned earlier, which is how often can you close and what can you do with it. So you need those details about the carriers that go beyond benefits. What are some of the quirks of the network? What are some of the advantages of the customer support with some of the different carriers? What options do they have available to you? If you're working retail, is it through Walmart itself? Third round closed. Hard to get a store now, next to impossible. Some of the carriers offer their programs in retail as well. Some of those are closed as well too. However, the carriers do offer retail training for those programs as well, and some of them require that certification. I know it's an extra module, but actually reading it and absorbing it can help you be more effective in that scenario as well. We also have different programs that help you concentrate on a particular target market if that's what you're looking to do, because it helps you with the centers of influence within that community that can drive you prospects and increase your closing as well, because you're more familiar with the doctors and other providers in the community that can make a difference for your close and also with the different programs that you offer. And while a lot of folks will look at low-income subsidy and Medicare savings programs as an off AEP activity in many circumstances, I disagree. Having that information available to you will help you sell more and will help you retain more. If you don't speak to the extra help program with prescription drugs with a person who's eligible, someone else is going to, and you're going to keep that person very long. There's also some of the things you need to do in order to be familiar with the tools that you have. So the Medicare Supplement quote engines, the different enrollment tools that we'll talk about as well. We need to be proficient in their use because they're there to help us be more effective and quicker rather than slowing down our progress. So at this point in time, AHIP's been out for quite a while now. This program is generally accepted by the vast majority of carriers, and working through a carrier to get that $50 discount up front and getting this done cuts down the certification time, particularly when you're working with multiple carriers. If you haven't done that, get her done, and let's talk about how we can help you with some of those expenses if you qualify. It's also important to take advantage of that electronic support that I alluded to earlier. This is our CSG quoting tool that allows us to look at different programs across the board. It gives us a cross-selling function that allows us to collect that electronic scope of appointment and store it for that 10-year period. Keep in mind, you're supposed to do that if you sell them or not. It also then gives us insight into different programs. This is neat when you go into the Medicare Advantage program because it will tell you about the carriers that you're contracted with, what their penetration is in a particular market. Are they the big gorilla, or are they the up-and-comer, or are they the no-name long-shot dark horse? It gives you then that information to help you understand that, hey, I probably should have this as part of my portfolio in order to be successful. You can access those 2021 benefits on our website. You can go in and pull them. Speaking with your Premier Agent Success Manager, they can help supply those for you as well and do the analysis for your chosen market with the multitude of carriers that are out there. I beat this out on purpose because having those programs selected, well, we have to carry through with the carrier certifications as well. It's important to note at this particular point in time, if you do the 2021 certifications, they're going to also qualify you for selling that product through the remainder of 2020 as well. So while it can be a bit of a nerve-wracking experience for some in completing those circumstances, a time vacuum for others, it is an important function because we can use it to help people realize that we're not only licensed and contracted, but we're certified and we are qualified to help people with their decisions toward their health care. You also have access for other Medicare trainings through the Medicare Learning Network offered through CMS. This gives us another perspective as to the differences between programs, but it also gives us the opportunity to take that knowledge and increase our close ratios as well. The old knowledge is power type of situation. And since Medicare has its own language, we also have guides to help you with the acronyms that come into play. This is important to have this information available because sometimes, I've been selling Medicare Advantage programs, working in the market since the 90s, pre-Billary. There's always someone who come up with a question as to, they flip out an acronym, and I'm like, well, where'd that come from? You can't know everything all the time. This is a great reference tool to help make you more proficient at what you do. There's also different types of marketing support available to you. This is a little-known program made available to us through CMS that gives us access to basically generic type of marketing material and sales support that is available without cost to an agent, without cost to anybody who accesses the site. You don't have to be an agent to do it. It, however, then gives you an opportunity to use third-party influence to help with programs. And then, of course, there's all the carrier support. This is just an example from United Healthcare, but we're seeing the vast majority of Medicare Advantage carriers come out with a ton of marketing material that can help make the selling experience compliant and easier. It's also available on the Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement and PDP sides as well. So be familiar with what your carrier offers in order to help make you successful. One of the tools that we offer here at Premier Marketing is the Medicare Center program. It is powered by Connecture, but what that program can do for you, not only create an electronic means to enroll somebody, compare programs, collect the scope of appointment, and store them, it also gives you the opportunity to use it to maintain your book of business, do an annual review of it, and in order to do so, for those that haven't used the program, you got to have the material about your clients in there in order to use it properly in that circumstance. If you're looking to go back and work your book. Working your book, take that beyond just the clients and take it to the people that you may have talked to in the past that didn't buy from you. Their circumstances change year over year. You're reaching out to them. If you have the permission to contact, gives you the opportunity to keep that preloaded information available and do a review year over year. It's a lot simpler to ask, have your prescriptions changed? This is what I have. Then go through and reload everything year after year and do a presentation. It's one of the challenges many people had with the Medicare Plan Finder provided by CMS. It's never really intended to be a sales tool, but you had a place to store information year over year. With some of the changes they made last year, that kind of changed that scenario. If you have a book of business and you know what your clients have, or the folks that you worked with in the past and didn't sell and haven't used a system like this electronic enrollment system of Medicare Center, take the time now to load that data so you can be more efficient when you have even more pressing time constraints in the near future. We're going to be doing a little bit of a tutorial on that in the future, near future, to help make certain you know how to use that program. Keep in mind the Medicare Center program and the other tools that we have available to help you sell electronically, including another one coming up on an announcement. They're available to you as a contracted agent with Premier without cost, and they make you so much more efficient. they are all also grasping different portions of the technology in order to reach out to the population we serve in the manner that they can engage. They have the tools to do what we need to do. A lot of the programs will require an email address. Well, if the folks don't have an email, they don't have email access, it's a little hard to do. So you're seeing a lot of these tools roll out with text to enroll and other applications that can help them should they have a smartphone or the ability to text. So some of these different aspects of what we have examined can make a big difference to you by having the information available, delivering it properly, doing it compliantly, but then also closing on it. We want to make certain that we have those tools to do so, and it helps us with the planning process. So keep in mind, that might take a little bit of practice. The first couple of times, gee, is this what it really takes? It gets easier for us because we become more accustomed to what we need to do. And if we are proficient in these systems, moving into a condensed time period, it will really help make more time available to us. Because remember, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, and one size doesn't fit all, and we've got to be prepared to pivot. COVID-19 has made life really interesting, and there are some folks out there that have become very proficient with electronic means of reaching out to folks. If we are planning our AEP now, and part of that plan, or the majority of it, requires face-to-face contact, we've got to be prepared to pivot. There are different ways to conduct a virtual meeting in place of in-person meetings, or how you can handle some of this telephonically and still deliver upon an application process compliantly. We've got to be prepared for what our environment will allow us to do. We don't really know what the new normal is going to be next month or in 2 months. We're seeing some of the things really flicker back and forth, so let's be prepared with it. And you're going to want to incorporate different ways of reaching out to market. So here are some suggestions that we can do to help fill that prospect channel of the plan that we have devised as to these are the number of applications I want to make. This is what I'm goaling myself. These are my financial expectations. This is how I'm going to cover it. Cold calls, you can still do that for MedSup. You can still do that for some ancillary products. And what's interesting to note is right about now, you're seeing some marketing activity ramp up, but there are things you can do now to grow your book of business that will enable you to not only tap into the current Medicare market, but the turning 65 market. And what do I mean by that? Well, we're seeing different ancillary programs, different dental programs, different hospital indemnity programs, those type of plans that there's a price increase at 65 or at 66. And so when we reach out to individuals on a T65 campaign, we may actually be using an approach to say, hey, we're offering a dental program. At age 64, the rate is this. At age 65, it's this. It's a time to make a decision and save some money that can apply for the rest of your life. So that makes a big difference. It's also important that we don't abandon the community, even if we're not able to be there physically. The retail programs, well, we've received assurances from many of them that if you've invested in one and they are unable to carry it out, where the government won't allow us to do it, they'll refund those monies. But regardless of how we approach that retail aspect, knowing that we have a relationship with those providers in those retail pharmacies, they may be able to help us telephonically as well. Okay, you want a review? Here's an agent we work with, give him a call. Because they can't give you the name and number and you call them. That's a little bit of do not call violation. We want to make certain that we can leverage that activity if we're actually physically present or not. Same thing deals with a lot of faith-based venues and other centers of influence, because those folks, they're in the same conundrum that we are. You know, they need to take care of their flock. They need to provide value. And many of them are actually staging services and other activities virtually as well. So it's really different to attend a Sunday service on your phone than it is in present with the community, the brotherhood and sisterhood that you share with your faith community. But you can do some of that things virtually as well, and it really helps that facility, that venue as well. And that same thing carries through with providers. We're seeing some challenges with docs that have seen the patient flow diminish, and they still want to serve that population and help make certain that they have the best coverage available to them that involves their services. So doing that virtually and telephonically can help as well. A lot of things that we look at that may be face-to-face activity, well, face-to-face is different nowadays. There's Zoom, there's all these other ways of reaching out to people and do it face-to-face, but you're staring at a screen. That includes doctor's visits and some of the other things that we're noticing reports coming from some of the carriers where their earnings are so much higher now because they haven't had to pay for a lot of the elective care that is necessary. That not only affects insurance companies, but the providers as well. There are different carrier programs too that are a means of success for us. If you work consistently with a Medicare Advantage carrier, you can access in many circumstances leads through that carrier as well. We can help with that process and involve you with local management in the different markets that somehow, in many cases, hold the purse strings to those leads. It is a circumstance where relationships are important, and that is something that we have to keep in mind. If we contract with 9 different Medicare Advantage carriers in our market because we don't want to miss one sale, that's important, but we've got to render unto Caesar what is Caesar and do some things consistently. And as we cast our bread on the waters, it'll come back to us as well. Social media is obviously a hot topic for many people. It's a way to solicit business as well. You've got to be careful about following marketing guidelines, be it through mail, face-to-face, or through social media, but it is a way to reach out to the population that we serve. Facebook's the hot type of program for folks in this demographic, and having material in that area can help. There are actually a couple of Medicare Supplement programs that come to mind that have preset social media programs that can help you pursue business in that area as well. There's always the best way of reaching people too, and that's through referrals of people that you've already spoken with, be it whether you sold them or not. I had a nice lady a number of years ago that she changed her program because her doc wasn't on the program, but she appreciated the benefits and the manner in which the explanation of those benefits was delivered. She referred a ton of people to me. It's important to note that as you visit with folks, how do you get a referral? It's real hard. It's a 3-letter word. It's ask. In many circumstances, if you look at it and you set an appointment, ask then too. Do you know of other people that might benefit from this discussion and you're comfortable having them as part of our discussion? Have them come and be available. And when you get there, you can set up the electronic scope and proceed with the presentation with, instead of a 1 or 2 person audience, perhaps 4 or 5. And that's a way to compound the number of people that you can reach. And then, of course, there's the dependable direct mail program where Ma Bell allows you to reach out and touch someone and do so compliantly. We're able to help you with custom contact lists to do so. It's important to note that wherever you buy a contact list, is it going to be exclusive to you? No. There's a ton of companies out there. Some of them will hold certain areas in reserve, but there's other companies selling the same information. And it's also important to note that no matter how good your vendor is for your list, it's not going to be perfect. There are going to be people in there that, oh, I went to a do not call, why are you calling me? Or they're dead, or whatever it happens to be. You know, it's a fluid situation. Things are going to change. And it's important once again here to realize you can't cold call for MA and PDP, but there are other programs that you can do to open doors and visit with people. We talked briefly about the retail opportunity that you have. This is important to note that a lot of the selection process is already done. If you're not in that program and you want to be, we'd have to look for a one-off situation in order to involve you. But if you are involved in retail now, you picked up a Walmart store, or you got a location through Anthem or Aetna or United or whomever it happens to be, don't go into the retail program thinking it's going to support everything. Do marketing activity around it in order to ensure your success and maximize your return on your investment in that program. Working with docs is really important, and this gives us an opportunity to work year-round as well. But when I say docs, it's not the only provider we work with. There's a ton of people out there now that are available for consultation through other deliverers of care, dentists, home health care agencies, whatever it happens to be. You can solicit this type of marketing telephonically. Sometimes that's more effective than going and actually visiting offices, but it's a means to help fill that plan that you have in place. So look at doctors, dentists, home health care givers, caregivers, different purveyors of the care that we're covering through our insurance programs. You can locate different churches in a target market as well, or within a particular faith using Church Angel. It gives you the contact information, and Smile and Dial there as well. Keep in mind that this is a listing of churches of all sizes, where even if it wasn't a socially distant atmosphere, sometimes you couldn't reach a person in a smaller church all the time anyway, but this gives you a means of reaching out and filling your calendar with appointments through the faith-based community. This gives us the opportunity then to not only offer our services to that congregation, but deliver on it either face-to-face if permissible, or virtually into the future. I mentioned those carrier-generated leads. Sometimes it seems like, well, I used to refer to them in certain circumstances as a Lazarus lead. You get them after they're dead, and you're looking to be the person to resurrect them. Depending upon the carrier and the lead flow that they have, it may be hot. It may, however, be just another person that you can talk to. But a lot of times, if the carrier has run them through a captive organization, you may have an agent within that circumstance that's not in necessarily exactly the same circumstance that you are, and they try to contact them 2 or 3 times and then quit. That's still a pretty good lead, depending upon how you can reach that individual. And then, of course, we talked about social media and the use of Facebook and other pieces, but there are also lead programs through Facebook as well. We have a couple of very successful programs set up for both Final Expanse and the Medicare world in this area. The most important, or a lot of times the most effective way of reaching out to people is through referrals and remembering to ask them about that situation and prepping ahead of time too. If you're using direct mail, you're seeing information sent to you in many circumstances from lead vendors who are looking to solicit your business. But this particular vendor has some really good material out there, lead concepts. They're very effective with their direct mail. They're one of our approved vendors for our lead co-op as well. But they are looking to make certain that you're planning ahead and how to use direct mail effectively as well. You're just going to throw money down the drain, so to speak, and not plan with a mail program with a time frame and a strategy behind it. It may not be the most effective way of using your money, or depending upon how you use it, it might be your primary means of getting in front of people. And we do support that with subsidies based on production, where it can drive down the cost of those mailings so you can do that consistently. That's one of the things we need to look at in each of these areas of marketing, is doing it consistently. It's like an exercise program. You do it once, you're going to feel the pain. If you do it consistently, you're going to see the gain. So look at that in that circumstance. These are 4 of the 5 approved carriers approved vendors that we use for our lead programs. We use preferred vendors because we vet the information that's going out in order to make certain that you are being compliant in that outreach and helping you stay out of hot water. It's also important to note that if you've got a person on the book for one product and they're not on for another, you can always cross-sell. So if you've got folks that are life clients, hey, I also do Medicare reviews. If you've got folks that are P&C related, if you're in that area, however it works, calling them and offering them additional products not only gives you the opportunity for an additional sale, drive up your persistency, all those lovely things, but it also gives you another chance to solicit referrals. Some of the things we're going to do to help in order to make this as pleasant as possible is if you've done your analysis and you realize that you need to pick up additional carriers, creating an agent profile through SuranceBay program gives you an opportunity to fill many of those contracting requirements electronically. It can help you then minimize the time on the front end. Because a lot of times, if you're looking at a market now versus a month ago, and you've seen some big changes in the product that is offered by one carrier you hadn't contracted with in the past, picking up that contract can make a big difference when it comes to your success during AEP and beyond. We also help you protect yourself with errors and omissions coverage. This is a program you own. It's not like being added to a blanket policy for one carrier or another, and then you're left hanging with the rest. This covers you for insurance products, including variable products, that is yours to own and covers you regardless of whom you are contracting through and how that's being delivered. So make certain that you cover yourself as well, not only within that area of legality, but also keeping your license current with continuing education, which we can help you with bundled discounted programs through our association with WebCE. We can also help you add to your own benefit package with a modified guarantee issue DI policy that's a discounted rate, and you get the share of the commissions. So it's a great way to add to your own benefit package as well. Much as where today's presentation is being recorded and will be sent to you, obviously, as follow-up, you have the ability to access past presentations to get hints and tips, not only about carriers and products, but different marketing opportunities as well. We talked about reaching out into the community. These are some additional ways of being proficient in that area and maximizing the return of the efforts that you're investing in that area. They can be found on our website at premiersmi.com and on our YouTube channel as well. I cannot strongly enough urge you to take advantage of the complimentary online enrollment programs we offer our contracted agents. These are not only a time saver when it comes to enrollment, but they help you quote, they help you compare, and they help you store the compliance requirements, that scope of appointment, across the board. We have a program for you that concentrates, that I showed on a little earlier, on Med Sups and some cross-selling tools, but also the Medicare Center program that I mentioned, where you can preload data and do a year-over-year review, send out information electronically, collect that scope, enroll electronically, and be on your way. We want to make certain that you're aware, too, of all the compensation that you are entitled to. Medicare Advantage and PDP programs, well, that compensation set by the government, max compensation. Most of the carriers will do that right off the bat. So there's no room for other incentives for carrier trips, but there is with the ancillary products and the Med Sups. This is where you can go and make certain that that is part of your calculations as to your monetary return on your work efforts. Those also help apply to our Premier Producers Convention, which this year was supposed to be a cruise from Miami to the Bahamas. COVID-19 kind of took care of that. All that said and done, what we're looking to do is help you formulate that plan and earn your business. We want your business. We're asking for it. This gives you kind of a mindset as to what you can do to become proficient and effective in your chosen industry. This will come to you as well, the PowerPoint, and so you'll have a chance to review this information we flew through so very quickly today. Remember the lion earlier in the presentation? A lot of times when agents look at what they've accomplished, they realize the financial gain and the rewards intrinsically, extrinsically, however you want to put it, but they also recognize what it took to get them there. So putting in that effort now, preparing, and being ready to roll can make a huge difference. And that's what we're asking you to do. So when you develop that marketing plan, let's put it in play as quickly as possible. Some of this will require some homework. So we want to make certain that we have that done and that it is ready to garner us the profit that we need to have from our efforts. You can reach any of us at Premier at our through our toll-free number of 1-800-365-8208 or through accessing contact through our website at premiersmi.com. So we encourage you to do that. Watch for some of the follow-up as it is available to you. Let me check for some questions really quickly to see what we can do. If I've missed some things, and not bad. There's one, and it's asking about the E&O coverage, and Jim will make certain that we get you that detail with the website and how to approach it as well. All that said and done, I have effectively sucked almost an hour of your life away from you that you're never going to get back, but we hope it has provided some value to you and some insight as to how you can be more efficient and productive moving forward in AEP and thereafter. We look forward to discussing these opportunities with you in the very near future. Reach out to your Premier Agent Success Manager, or we're going to reach out to you as well as quickly as possible and make certain that we can do what we can do to help you be more profitable and more effective and more comfortable in your own success. All that said and done, until we're able to visit with you again, we're going to wish you good selling and thank you for participating today.